Have you ever wondered why men tend to die earlier than women? Is it just bad luck, or are there deeper, hidden reasons behind this pattern? The reality is that there are many complex factors at play, from biological differences to societal pressures, emotional stress, and even neglecting their health. If you're curious about what these factors are and how they impact the lifespan of men, you're in the right place. In this video, we will dive deep into the reasons why men often have shorter lives compared to women, starting with the science of biology. We will uncover how their genetic structure, hormonal differences, and stress responses play a key role in shaping this reality. But that's not all. Society's expectations of men, the pressures of being the primary provider for their families, and even their struggles with maintaining their health can have a profound effect on their overall longevity. By the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer understanding of the underlying reasons that affect men's health as they age. You'll also learn what can be done to reverse some of these patterns. Whether you're a man who wants to take charge of your health and live a longer, more fulfilling life, or if you're someone who cares about the men in your life and wants them to enjoy a longer, healthier life, this video will provide you with invaluable insights. Stay tuned to discover how small, practical changes can make a huge difference in your health, and how breaking free from the stereotypes that hold men back can dramatically alter the course of their lives. You won't want to miss this crucial knowledge that could potentially add years to your life. Keep watching to learn how to overcome these obstacles and thrive in your later years. Before we dive in, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support is incredibly meaningful, and if you find this video helpful, you can help me continue sharing these important lessons by liking and sharing them with others. If this topic resonates with you, please comment 1. If you think there's something that could be improved or want to share your thoughts, feel free to comment 0 to let me know how I can make better videos for you. Now, let's get started. The first reason why men tend to die before their wives is biological differences. The primary reason why men tend to die earlier than women can be traced to a complex web of biological differences that start from birth and continue to impact men throughout their lives. These differences are not just subtle nuances. They are fundamental to our very makeup, genetic, hormonal, and physical traits that shape not only how we live but how long we live. It's a harsh reality, but one that deserves to be understood, especially as we navigate the challenges of aging. While these biological differences are not always easy to accept, understanding them is the first step toward empowering men to take control of their health and longevity. Let's start by exploring the most basic and foundational biological difference between men and women, our genetic structure. From the moment of conception, men and women are on different paths. Men inherit one X chromosome from their mother and one Y chromosome from their father, while women inherit two X chromosomes, one from each parent. This seemingly simple difference carries profound health implications. The presence of two X chromosomes in women gives them a backup system. If one X chromosome becomes damaged or defective, the second can often compensate, allowing women to maintain genetic stability. Men, on the other hand, are at a distinct disadvantage in this regard. With only one X chromosome, men have no backup if that chromosome experiences a malfunction or mutation. This lack of redundancy leaves men more vulnerable to a range of genetic disorders. For example, men are more likely to suffer from conditions such as hemophilia, a blood clotting disorder, and certain types of color blindness, which are linked to the X chromosome. These genetic vulnerabilities, while not always fatal, contribute to the overall fragility of men's health and shorten their life expectancy. But the differences don't stop with genetics. Hormonal factors play a pivotal role in the health disparity between men and women, and they have a lasting impact on life expectancy. Women have estrogen, a hormone that provides several protective benefits throughout their lives. Estrogen is not only responsible for the development of female secondary sexual characteristics, but also acts as a crucial protector against cardiovascular diseases. Estrogen helps to maintain the flexibility of blood vessels, keeping the arteries from becoming rigid and promoting healthy blood flow. It also helps to regulate blood pressure and acts as a natural shield against heart disease and strokes. This hormone helps explain why women generally have healthier hearts and lower rates of cardiovascular problems, particularly in their younger years. Estrogen's protective effects are part of why women tend to live longer than men. In contrast, men predominantly produce testosterone, a hormone that is instrumental in building muscle mass, maintaining energy, and promoting strength. While testosterone does have its benefits, it does not offer the same level of cardiovascular protection that estrogen does. As a result, men are at a higher risk for heart disease, and this increased vulnerability contributes directly to the shorter average lifespan that men experience. Another significant biological difference between men and women involves how our bodies store fat. Women tend to accumulate fat just beneath the skin, a type of fat that is less harmful in terms of its impact on overall health. This subcutaneous fat does not pose the same risk to the organs as the fat that men typically store around their internal organs. Men, on the other hand, tend to accumulate visceral fat, fat that surrounds vital organs such as the liver, pancreas, and intestines, particularly in the abdominal area. This kind of fat is not only unsightly but also highly dangerous. Visceral fat can lead to inflammation, which is a root cause of many chronic conditions, including diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Studies have shown that the accumulation of visceral fat increases the risk of developing metabolic diseases, which significantly shorten life expectancy. Men's higher levels of visceral fat contribute to these health risks and, ultimately, to their tendency to die younger than women. Stress is another area where men and women differ biologically, and it has a profound effect on life expectancy. When under stress, both men and women experience a release of the hormone cortisol, which helps the body cope with the immediate effects of stress. However, research has shown that men's bodies tend to experience more intense and prolonged stress responses, which can have damaging long-term effects on their health. Dr. Shelley Taylor, a researcher at UCLA, introduced the concept of a fight-or-flight response, which is typically stronger in men than in women. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This response is an evolutionary adaptation designed to help individuals deal with immediate physical threats. However, when the stress is chronic, as it often is in modern life, this prolonged activation of the fight-or-flight system can take a heavy toll on the body. High levels of cortisol over extended periods can lead to inflammation, weaken the immune system, and damage cardiovascular health. Men, therefore, are more susceptible to stress-induced illnesses, such as heart disease, and these chronic conditions contribute to their shorter lifespans. Perhaps one of the most surprising factors in the biological differences between men and women is the way our cells age. Research has shown that women's cells have an advantage when it comes to aging. Women produce an enzyme called telomerase, which helps protect the telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of chromosomes, from deteriorating too quickly. This protection helps cells divide more effectively, keeping them healthier for a longer period. Estrogen also plays a role in maintaining these telomeres, further safeguarding the health of women's cells. In contrast, men's cells lack this protective mechanism, causing their telomeres to shorten more quickly over time. As a result, men's cells age faster, leading to an accelerated aging process in their bodies. This biological difference means that men tend to experience the effects of aging more rapidly, with diminished physical resilience. Studies show that men tend to recover more slowly from illnesses, especially cardiovascular events like heart attacks, which further illustrates how their bodies are less equipped to bounce back from health setbacks. All of these biological factors, genetic, hormonal, fat storage, stress responses, and cellular aging, combine to create a set of challenges that men face in terms of their health. These challenges make men more vulnerable to illness and disease, ultimately contributing to their shorter lifespans. However, this doesn't mean that all is lost. While we cannot change our genetic makeup or our biology, there is much that can be done to counteract these challenges. By making healthy lifestyle choices, managing stress effectively, eating a balanced diet, exercising regularly, and seeking medical checkups, men can significantly reduce the impact of these biological factors. Men have the power to take control of their health and make choices that will improve their quality of life and increase their chances of living longer, healthier lives. In sharing this information, I hope to help you understand the deep biological reasons why men tend to die earlier than women. But it's important to remember that while biology plays a significant role, it does not define our destiny. With knowledge comes power, and by understanding these biological differences, men can take steps to overcome them. The first step is always the most difficult, but it can lead to a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life. The truth is, while our biology may have set certain limits, we are not powerless in the face of it. By prioritizing our health, making conscious choices, and seeking support when needed, we can embrace a life that is not defined by the biological challenges we face but by our ability to rise above them. The second reason why men tend to die before their wives is stress derived from social roles and the resulting deterioration in health. The reasons why men often tend to die earlier than women are multifaceted, with one of the most significant contributors being the immense stress caused by societal roles and expectations, which deeply impact their health. This issue is not just an abstract, theoretical concern, but something that affects many men daily throughout their lives. From an early age, men are conditioned to embrace certain roles that come with enormous pressure, which, over time, manifest as chronic stress. The weight of these expectations becomes an invisible burden, silently wearing men down, often to the point of diminishing their health and life expectancy. The truth is that the social roles that men are expected to play often take a far more significant toll on their well-being than most realize. In numerous cultures, especially in the United States, the societal narrative around masculinity has historically been tied to the role of the provider. Men are raised with the expectation that they must be the ones to financially support their families. While this may seem like a relatively simple role on the surface, it comes with immense emotional and psychological weight. The responsibility of providing for loved ones often means that men feel they must be the ones to hold everything together, no matter the cost. They are expected to be the steady, unflappable figure in their families, carrying the burden of providing not just financially, but emotionally as well. They become the rock for their loved ones, the one who keeps everything stable and ensures that no one in the family ever sees them falter. For many men, this sense of duty, ingrained from a young age, begins to define their identity. They see themselves as the ones who solve problems, who shoulder burdens, who never show weakness. But this internalized belief that they must be impervious to vulnerability can lead to serious consequences. This idea of stoicism, which was perhaps more acceptable in previous generations, has transformed into a source of profound emotional and physical strain. It's not just about working long hours or achieving success in the workplace. It's about never allowing oneself to falter in the face of adversity. This emotional suppression is not just draining. It's damaging, both mentally and physically. The pressures of these societal expectations are even more evident today, when work environments are increasingly high stress, with intellectual labor replacing manual tasks. The pressure to succeed, to outperform, and to keep up with an ever-competitive job market is relentless. Men today often find themselves grappling with not just the physical demands of their jobs, but also the psychological toll of workplace competition. They face long hours, difficult colleagues, and the constant anxiety of being good enough. While society has evolved, the roles that men are expected to perform have largely remained static, and they have become more demanding than ever. The intensity of this pressure can feel suffocating, yet most men are taught from a young age that they should carry it without complaint. Instead of seeking help or showing vulnerability, men often internalize their stress, believing that admitting weakness or asking for support is a failure. This suppression of emotions creates a perfect storm for chronic stress, as men feel compelled to bottle up their frustrations, worries, and anxieties. Over time, these unexpressed emotions turn into stress, which manifests physically in the form of chronic headaches, digestive problems, high blood pressure, and sleep disturbances. The very act of keeping their struggles hidden from others takes a significant toll on their health. The effects of chronic stress are not limited to mental health struggles. When the body is constantly in a state of heightened stress, it releases hormones like cortisol, designed to help the body deal with short-term challenges. However, prolonged exposure to these stress hormones can have devastating effects on the body. It weakens the immune system, making it more difficult to fight off infections and illnesses. The chronic presence of high cortisol levels has been linked to an array of health problems, from heart disease and diabetes to depression and even cancer. Men who are unable to find healthy outlets for managing their stress often turn to harmful coping mechanisms, such as smoking, drinking excessively, or overeating. These behaviors, though temporary solutions, only worsen their health, leading to a cycle of poor choices that perpetuate their deteriorating well-being. It's not just about work or the pressures of raising a family. The reality is that many men are deeply affected by the sense of identity that they derive from their professional roles. When retirement comes, after decades of defining themselves through their careers and their ability to provide, many men face a profound crisis. Suddenly, they are no longer the breadwinners, the protectors, or the problem solvers. The loss of that role can lead to feelings of purposelessness, confusion, and even depression. This transition from being defined by work to being defined by nothing at all can be deeply disorienting. While women, who often derive their sense of self from a wider variety of sources, relationships, hobbies, social networks, may handle this transition with more resilience, many men struggle to adjust to life after retirement. They often feel as though they have lost their identity entirely, leading to significant emotional distress. This issue also ties into how men interact with others and form relationships. Many men, particularly those from older generations, are not encouraged to express their emotions or seek emotional support from others. While women are generally more in tune with their emotional needs and are more likely to form strong social networks, men often isolate themselves. They may be reluctant to talk about their feelings, whether due to fear of being perceived as weak or simply because they have never been taught how to open up. The result is that men often find themselves navigating life's challenges alone, without the emotional support of friends or family to help them cope. This lack of emotional connection only amplifies the stress that they already carry. In the past few decades, these traditional gender roles have begun to shift. There is a growing awareness of the importance of emotional health, and men are increasingly encouraged to seek help and prioritize their well-being. However, many men, particularly those from older generations, continue to feel the weight of societal expectations that were instilled in them from childhood. They may still feel a sense of shame or inadequacy when it comes to expressing vulnerability, which makes it difficult for them to take full advantage of the support that is now more readily available. Despite the challenges, there is hope. There is a way out of this cycle, but it requires a collective effort. Men need to recognize that it is not only okay to prioritize their health and well-being, it is essential. By acknowledging the tremendous pressures they face, both external and internal, men can begin to make meaningful changes in their lives. This includes learning to manage stress in healthier ways, such as practicing mindfulness, exercising, or finding creative outlets. It also involves seeking emotional support from loved ones, friends, or professionals, without fear of judgment. Men who embrace vulnerability and emotional openness will find that their stress diminishes and their health improves. Communities, families, and societies as a whole also have an important role to play. Families need to encourage men to open up, to create spaces where they can express their emotions without fear of being judged, and to remind them that their worth is not defined by their ability to perform traditional roles. By breaking down the stigma around emotional expression and encouraging men to seek help when needed, we can support them in leading healthier, longer, and more fulfilling lives. Men who learn to find balance in their lives, who can take time to nurture their emotional well-being, build strong social connections, and embrace healthy lifestyle choices, can experience a far higher quality of life. Through greater societal awareness and support, we can help men break free from the confines of outdated societal expectations and live fuller, richer lives, regardless of age or stage in life. It is not about diminishing their strength or success. It is about allowing them to thrive, not just as providers, but as individuals worthy of love, support, and care. The third reason why men tend to die before their wives lies in differences in health management. It is a deeply saddening reality, one that is not often talked about, but it speaks volumes about the choices men make throughout their lives. So many men, without even realizing it, are shortening their own lives by ignoring the simple, preventable steps that could ensure better health and longer life. This tragic pattern often begins early in life and continues through adulthood, and it is something that not only affects the individual but also their families, who watches their loved ones decline unnecessarily. It's heartbreaking to think that a little self-care could have changed everything, but the truth is that many men, unfortunately, don't prioritize their health the way they should. From a very early age, the differences in how men and women approach health are apparent. Boys are often taught to be tough, to push through pain, and to ignore their bodies when they feel discomfort. Society, in many ways, reinforces these notions, teaching boys that showing vulnerability, especially when it comes to health, is a weakness. This idea sticks with them as they grow, and it deeply affects how they manage their health throughout their lives. In contrast, girls are often taught to be more in tune with their emotions and bodies and to be more nurturing towards themselves. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As adults, this conditioning shows up in the stark difference in how men and women deal with their health. While women are generally more proactive, seeking medical advice at the first sign of trouble, men often ignore early symptoms and brush them off, convinced that they'll just go away on their own. Sadly, this behavior leads to unnecessary suffering, because so many health issues go untreated until they have escalated to more serious, sometimes irreversible conditions. How many times have we heard men say, "It's just a little ache," or "I'll be fine, it's nothing to worry about"? This is one of the key reasons why men tend to die earlier than women. They refuse to acknowledge that there might be something wrong until it becomes unavoidable. And by the time they finally do seek help, the damage is often already done. Men's reluctance to seek medical care leads to missed opportunities for early diagnosis, treatment, and even prevention. This denial can be the beginning of a vicious cycle, where minor symptoms become major health issues because they were not addressed in time. In addition to this, men tend to avoid preventive healthcare measures. Women are generally better at scheduling routine checkups and going for mammograms, pap smears, or regular blood tests, which can help catch issues like cancer, diabetes, or heart disease in their early, more treatable stages. Unfortunately, many men, particularly older men, do not see the importance of these regular health screenings. They view doctor visits as an inconvenience or something only necessary when they are sick. This mindset means that they are much more likely to miss the subtle warning signs of conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or even early stages of cancer, which might have been easily treated if detected sooner. This difference in how health is managed only becomes more pronounced as men age. As they get older, many men, who have spent the majority of their lives focused on their careers, financial stability, and family responsibilities, begin to ignore their health altogether. By the time they reach middle age and beyond, they may be dealing with a range of physical and mental issues, but instead of seeking medical help, they continue to suppress their health concerns. Visiting the doctor or undergoing a regular physical is simply seen as an inconvenience, a minor nuisance in an otherwise busy life. And yet, it is in these years that preventive care is more crucial than ever. Women, on the other hand, seem to accept that regular checkups are part of self-care. They embrace the idea of taking time for their health, even as they juggle their own busy lives. But it's not just about ignoring symptoms. Men also tend to engage in behaviors that are detrimental to their health in the long term. Smoking and excessive drinking are more common in men, and these habits cause significant, often irreversible damage to the body. Smoking is a well-known cause of respiratory diseases like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, lung cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence of harm, smoking remains prevalent among men. Excessive drinking, too, wreaks havoc on the body, increasing the risk of liver disease, high blood pressure, strokes, and heart failure. While women certainly engage in these behaviors as well, it's no secret that men tend to partake in higher quantities, and the consequences are far more detrimental when these habits go unchecked. In terms of diet, men's eating habits also contribute to their shorter lifespans. Men tend to favor foods that are high in fat, cholesterol, and calories, often indulging in red meats, fried foods, and sugary snacks. Over time, these poor dietary choices contribute to obesity, high cholesterol, and an increased risk of heart disease and diabetes. Women, in contrast, are generally more inclined to make healthier food choices, opting for fruits, vegetables, and balanced meals. These choices, although small at the moment, add up over time, helping to maintain better health as they age. It's frustrating to think that something as simple as making healthier food choices could have such a profound impact on a man's health, but it is true. Diet plays a huge role in longevity. Yet, men continue to make poor dietary choices, often choosing convenience or indulgence over nourishment, which ultimately hurts them in the long run. Stress is another area where men and women differ significantly. Women, as emotionally intelligent beings, often find ways to manage stress by reaching out to family, friends, or professional counselors. They talk through their problems, share their struggles, and get the emotional support they need to handle life's pressures. Men, however, tend to internalize stress. They believe that showing emotion or seeking help makes them weak or vulnerable. They carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, rarely expressing their frustrations or fears. Over time, this emotional burden begins to manifest in physical ways, affecting everything from heart health to sleep patterns. The stress takes its toll in silence, leading to problems that could have been avoided if only they had sought help or found healthier ways to cope. Instead of opening up or practicing stress relief techniques, many men turn to harmful coping mechanisms such as smoking, drinking, or overeating, which only exacerbate the problem. Physical activity, another key element of health, is often overlooked by men as they age. Many men rely on their jobs or daily tasks to provide physical activity, but once they retire, they may find themselves falling into a sedentary lifestyle. Without the structure of a workday, they may lose the motivation or desire to stay active. Women, however, tend to find ways to stay physically active even as they age, whether it's through walking, yoga, or gardening. Physical activity is essential for maintaining a healthy body, especially as we get older, but many men struggle to keep moving once their routines change. It's a tragic oversight, considering how important exercise is for everything from maintaining a healthy weight to supporting heart health and mobility. Lastly, mental health is often ignored, and this neglect can have serious consequences. Depression and anxiety are just as prevalent among men as they are among women, but society's pressures and expectations mean that men often refuse to seek help. They feel that reaching out for mental health support is a sign of weakness. As a result, many men suffer in silence, which not only worsens their emotional state but also impacts their physical health. Untreated mental health issues can lead to chronic sleep problems, a weakened immune system, and even cardiovascular disease. The neglect of mental well-being is a silent killer, one that directly affects the physical body and accelerates the aging process. In the end, the key to a longer, healthier life is not just avoiding illness, but actively seeking out the right habits and mindsets to support well-being. Women, who are generally more proactive about their health, tend to catch problems early and address them before they get out of hand. Men, however, tend to ignore or downplay their health issues, leading to missed opportunities for treatment and prevention. While these patterns are slowly changing, men still have a long way to go in terms of prioritizing their health. It's not just about living longer, it's about living well. Men must break free from the habits that have historically shortened their lives. By embracing healthier lifestyle choices, seeking regular medical care, and acknowledging the importance of mental and physical well-being, men can drastically improve their chances of living a long and happy life. It's not just about surviving. It's about thriving, living with vitality, and truly enjoying the years ahead. Men, it's time to take charge of your health. You owe it to yourself and to those who love you. The fourth reason why men tend to die before their wives stems from feelings of isolation and loneliness after retirement. This issue, though often overlooked, can be devastating both emotionally and physically, contributing to a decline in health and a shortened lifespan. It's a silent epidemic, creeping up on men when they are least prepared to handle it, and it's rooted in the complex ways retirement shifts their social roles and emotional landscapes. Retirement is a momentous life event that brings both freedom and, for many men, a sense of loss. After spending decades in the workforce, many men find themselves at a crossroads, where their identities, their sense of value, and their roles in society begin to unravel. Work is not just a source of income for men, it's often a defining aspect of their identity. It's where they derive their purpose, their connection to the world beyond their homes, and their sense of contribution to their families. This sense of value is reinforced by the societal expectations placed on men to be providers, to take care of their families, and to maintain a strong, stoic presence. When they retire, those roles no longer serve them. And with the loss of these roles comes an overwhelming feeling of emptiness. This loss can be shocking, disorienting, and profoundly difficult to process. For many men, retirement marks the end of a long chapter where they have been the primary breadwinners, the ones who shoulder the financial responsibilities, the ones who feel needed. Suddenly, that sense of purpose is stripped away, and without a clear sense of direction, many men are left to grapple with a sense of irrelevance. It's not just about not having a job, it's about not knowing who they are anymore. What happens when you lose the very thing that defined you for so long? What happens when your role in society and your family no longer seems to matter? In stark contrast, women often navigate this transition in a way that helps them retain a sense of purpose and identity. Women are more likely to maintain their emotional and social connections after retirement, often seeking out relationships with friends, family, and communities. They may be more inclined to participate in social gatherings, engage in hobbies, or take on caregiving roles within their families. These activities help keep them emotionally engaged, provide stability, and ensure that they still feel valued and connected to the world. For men, however, the story is different. They are often raised with the belief that they should be independent, self-reliant, and emotionally reserved. These cultural expectations can make it more difficult for men to reach out for support or even acknowledge their feelings of loneliness. Many men internalize these feelings, pretending that they're fine when, in reality, they may be struggling more than they let on. Once retired, men's social circles often shrink significantly. They lose the daily interactions with colleagues and acquaintances that once helped them stay connected to the world. For many men, work was the primary place where they formed and nurtured relationships, whether it was with coworkers, friends, or even casual acquaintances. When they retire, those connections fade. Men often find it harder to replace those work relationships with new ones, and their social networks become increasingly limited. This lack of social interaction can be isolating. The emotional withdrawal that many men experience, stemming from a sense of independence or the expectation to stay stoic, only exacerbates the problem. It's as if a quiet, invisible wall builds around them, pushing them further into solitude. And this solitude doesn't just remain a social issue, it rapidly evolves into a physical one. Research has shown that loneliness and social isolation significantly weaken the immune system and increase the risk of chronic illnesses, such as heart disease, hypertension, depression, and even dementia. Studies have found that loneliness is more harmful to health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and it has been linked to a 30% increase in the risk of premature death. This is not a small matter. Loneliness essentially accelerates the physical decline of the body. It's as if the mind's loneliness is mirrored by the body's growing weakness. The stress of isolation, combined with a lack of emotional support, disrupts the body's ability to recover and fight off diseases, leading to a downward spiral in both mental and physical health. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, Please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Women, on the other hand, tend to find ways to stay mentally and physically active after retirement. They often engage in activities like yoga, walking, or attending social gatherings, all of which keep them emotionally stable and physically healthy. These activities not only nurture their mental well-being but also help them maintain a connection to the world and people around them. For many men, however, the transition to retirement is often marked by a sharp decline in physical and mental activity. After years of being consumed by work, many men don't know how to fill their time in a way that brings them joy or fulfillment. Without a job to structure their days, they may become inactive, lethargic, and disengaged. They may feel as if their purpose has evaporated, and this lack of fulfillment leads to even deeper feelings of isolation. It's a vicious cycle. The less active they are, the more isolated they feel. The more isolated they feel, the less motivated they are to re-engage with life. The emotional toll of living alone after the loss of a spouse is even more pronounced. For older men, particularly those who have lost a lifelong partner, the experience of profound loneliness is overwhelming. The absence of someone to share meals with, to talk to, or to simply be present with can lead to a deep psychological void. Without the companionship that once filled their days, many men begin to neglect their health. They might skip doctor's appointments, avoid taking medications, or simply stop caring for themselves altogether. Without someone to remind them or support them, the neglect of their health worsens, and this neglect accelerates their physical decline. Men who are left alone often find it harder to adapt to life without their spouse, and the emotional strain of loneliness can significantly decrease their quality of life. So, what can be done to address this issue? Men need to take proactive steps to combat their loneliness and isolation. The first step is to reach out and maintain their social connections. Men must continue nurturing relationships, whether it's through family, friends, or community activities. They should engage in hobbies or explore new interests that bring them joy and fulfillment. Men need to allow themselves the grace to seek help when they need it, and to be vulnerable and open about their struggles. Building and maintaining social ties is essential not only for emotional well-being but for physical health as well. Retirement should be seen as an opportunity to forge new connections, rather than retreating into isolation. Families and friends also play an integral role in addressing this issue. They need to be aware of the loneliness that may creep in after retirement and take steps to ensure that the men in their lives are not left to face it alone. Simple gestures, like inviting them to family gatherings, encouraging them to participate in social activities, or just checking in regularly, can make a world of difference in how a man feels emotionally supported. On a broader level, society must create environments and programs that support older men in staying active, engaged, and connected. Community centers, social clubs, and volunteer opportunities tailored for retirees can help men find new roles and identities outside of their previous careers. By encouraging men to continue contributing to society in ways that align with their passions and interests, we can help them navigate retirement with purpose and dignity. As we wrap up today's video, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. We've explored the deep impact that isolation, loneliness, and loss of purpose can have on men, particularly after retirement, and how these emotional struggles can affect both their mental and physical health. The importance of staying connected, engaging with loved ones, and finding new avenues for fulfillment in later life cannot be overstated. We've seen how a proactive approach to relationships and well-being can truly make a difference, not just in living longer, but in living a happier, more meaningful life. So, what have you learned so far? Is there a particular insight or action that stood out to you? I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, share one thing you've learned today and how you plan to bring it into your own life. Whether it's maintaining your connections, pursuing new hobbies, or being more mindful of the emotional well-being of those around you, your thoughts can inspire others. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below and let us know your takeaways. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content that helps you thrive at every stage of life. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.